court was planned for Independence Day celebrations in October 2025. The trial follows earlier charges against civilians, including a retired Major General, as officials move to prosecute those accused of attempting to overthrow the government. And now turning to East Africa, Burundi's ruling party has named President Evariste Ndayishimiye as its candidate for the 2027 presidential election. The party says he will seek another 7-year mandate, with the incumbent widely viewed as the front-runner. Opposition figures, however, have criticized the move, citing economic hardship and governance concerns. Rights groups have also raised issues about freedoms in the country as Burundi prepares for a vote that observers say will be closely watched. In North Africa, Greece's foreign minister has visited Libya for talks focusing on migration, maritime boundaries, and economic cooperation. Officials from both countries discussed the rising number of migrants traveling from eastern Libya to Greece and agreed to deepen collaboration on border management. The visit also addressed the long-standing dispute over maritime boundaries in energy-rich Mediterranean waters. Both sides reaffirmed their commitment to continued dialogue and expanding partnerships in sectors including infrastructure, transport, and energy. And lastly, cultural heritage is at the forefront of UK as a UK museum prepares to return 45 historical artifacts to Botswana. The items, originally collected in the late 19th century, include clothing, hunting tools, and domestic objects from the Gamawato region. Curators say the repatriation represents a step towards restoring cultural identity and allowing Botswana to tell its own story. The artifacts are expected to be displayed in a permanent exhibition later in May alongside an international summit on heritage and restitution. And that's where we end African News Update this morning. And of course, we have told you earlier that we have a guest, and we'll be moving over to our discussion segment, but that'll be just after this break. Do want to stay with us.
Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television. Welcome to Razep Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Now, in a move that has sparked both commendation and scrutiny, which is quite unprecedented, of course, the federal government announced an upward review of allowances and welfare packages for civil servants across Nigeria. This development comes at a critical time amid ongoing economic pressures, inflationary concerns, and increasing calls for comprehensive civil service reform. Now, while the government's position in this is a necessary step to improve productivity and cushion the effect of economic hardship, analysts are asking deeper questions. Is this intervention sustainable? Does it address the structural inefficiencies within Nigeria's civil service? And perhaps, more importantly, why now? With the 2027 political landscape gradually taking shape, some observers see this as more than just a welfare policy, but a strategic move with political undertone. Joining us to unpack these issues is Ambassador Musa Muhammad Token, President of the APC Initiative for Good Governance. Again, I welcome you to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Right. I guess my first question will be: did you see the reaction? Were you taken aback by the reaction while civil servants were excited that we are for once discussing these very important issues of civil service reforms, the long-awaited allowances, improvement and increase in allowances and welfare packages? Others are saying, oh, this is a political move, which has unfortunately become the reflective of how we take good news in the country. But were you surprised?
I'm not surprised at all, because I know the regiments and the policies that have been put in place by the Renew Hope captain, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This is a very systemic steps that have been taken for long. It's one of the plans of the Renew Hope in order to better Nigeria. Development is a process of changing the society which brings about an improvement in the standard of living of the masses. So a process is not something that will start today and it will be concluded today. So it's one of the process, and this is what we have been telling people, that the government of the day has the masses at heart. So I'm not surprised at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to join Dr. Joy in that line of getting to understand the policy that has just been put in place. What we are actually discussing this morning, as it has to do with the federal government raising civil servants' allowances and as it has to do with their welfare. So my concern would probably be, let's answer the question of what this particular policy is trying to solve when it has to do with the whole economic crisis that we're having in the country. So what problem is this policy solving at this moment?
Let us take it as a whole. We are talking about civil services or civil servants now. The federal government or the government of Nigeria have approved a strategic economic plan, and that is structured to uplift the standard of living. Nigeria has been rated as a low-income economy. The Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Awoka Atiku Bagudu, and the Honorable Minister of State, Dr. Doris Zoka, have put in place strategic plans, and this plan is referred to as bottom-up economic plan. That is focusing on the grassroots level, a kind of strategy that is called Renew Hope World, Development Program. In one of the structure that is put in place is to empower the citizenry from the grassroots level, from the world level. 1,000 people in each of the 8,809 electoral ward in the country have been earmarked with a sum of 330 billion naira to empower them. That is structure and is targeting the upper middle economic country. That is to augment the standard of living as well as the economy of the country.
Right.
Yeah. So these are some of the strategic plan that has been put in place in order to ensure that the citizenry have it right.
Well, would you say that with the global crisis that has affected energy supply and of course the ripple effect has touched everyone in commodities, services and all that, would you say this government has positioned itself well? I remember the announcement of the custom duty slash in certain products that can be coming, vehicles and certain products as well. Would you say they have positioned well? Would you beat your chest at a time when we need fuel subsidy? The world is saying is every other person. I mean, there are other countries that have subsidized energy and cut down on government spending and all that. Ours was more, our increment in fuel prices was way more than any country in the world, 12% more than any other country in the world. But in spite of that, Nigerians expected a time where you say, okay, this is the time when I bring about some sort of subsidy to, ameliorate the sufferings of Nigeria. Would you beat your chest and say this government has done well in ameliorating these sufferings with the global crisis?
You see, the deregulation of the downstream fuel sector is deliberately done in order to reduce government, hold on some of these sectors, so that every sector of the economy will have a kind of free hands to regulate their own, projects and determine their prices. And some of this thing that is done is deliberate, so that the economy will now determine the rates in which product will be sold. And if that is done, it will encourage competition,
right.
And the price will actually go down, so that the common man on the street will have it right.
So maybe let's make it in practical terms, because I'm trying to see how to be very practical here. I don't know. I would have loved to even ask if you're a civil servant, but maybe in practical terms, I want to know how you think this will actually affect the daily lives of civil servants. And then now this is across all salary levels. How will this actually affect the civil servant? And then how will it now cushion the effect of every other thing, including the removal of the fuel subsidy that happened in 2023?
You see, one of the integral aspects of governance is to generate substantial revenue. That substantial revenue is to be, put in place to effect the government activities, infrastructural development, education, health sector, and what have you. You see, you talk about the fuel subsidy. Actually, the fuel subsidy is being removed so that the revenue, the money being generated as a result of the subsidy removal will now be put in place for developmental activities in the country, so that it will cushion some of the effects of this subsidy removal. And that is why just within a month, at the take-up of this administration, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was able to generate substantial amount of revenue never in the history of this country, where in just a month, 1,350 billion naira was generated.
The question is to what end?
To what end?
Because
Exactly.
Yes, we are seeing a spike in our foreign reserves. The generation has improved. To what end? It does it reflect? Because I mean, I can no longer quote the World Bank deleted post data on the Nigeria's annual economic status at the moment, because it was deleted. However, it also showed that we have these numbers not reflecting in the purchasing power of an average Nigerian. We are inching closer to having our poverty line almost so bad at the moment. So while we celebrate I could say the statistics, the economic statistics, how does it cascade to an average Nigerian? Are they now able to afford more than $1 a day for a meal?
You see, what we are trying to say in essence is this. All these programs are processes put in place to ensure that the masses have it right. I've said it here earlier. I said there is a New Hope World Development Program, and that New Hope World Development Program is structured in such a way that the people in the grassroots will be empowered. And I said 350 billion naira is earmarked for that. And in each of the electoral ward, there's 8,809 electoral wards in the country. 1,000 people will be empowered. So if 1,000 people will be empowered in each ward, out of the 8,809 electoral wards we have in the country, what does that mean? I want you to, assess that by yourself.
Again, we've seen, especially with this administration, we keep recording this initiative that is on paper. But if we have to break down, I'm not very conversant with this initiative you are mentioning. But if we have to break it down, 1,000 people would be empowered. What would you say the empowerment, if you dissect what empowerment really is? We've seen instances where when this happens, it now goes back to rice being distributed, monies in cash being given. What does that empowerment mean at a time when we have young people who do not have ICT hubs, and the world is looking towards ICT across the world? Is it a sustainable empowerment that would end us with skilled young people, or it is monies that will be again distributed to what Nigerians have come to believe is to what's it called now, party loyalists as compensation of some sort? So how can Nigerians ensure that we can even reach the president enough, petition this and dissect it and get a proper empowerment that's sustainable, one that will see the blossoming of our economy?
You see, by this strategic plan, each ward or each of the electoral wards in the country have their own potentials, and they also have the areas to which they think is more beneficial to them. And by that, the ward level will now be saddled with the responsibility to now earmark and strategize on their own ways, their potentials, their needs, their aspirations, in order to better their economic status. So that's why we are saying that this is not just about the issue of the federal government or the state government or the local government alone. We know that the 8,809 wards in the country made up what all these arms of government are all about. The federal government, state, and the local government. But what we are saying now is that each of the local government have what they need, and by that, every ward is going to bring out their own table of operation, their status of operation, so that they should be able to on their own decide what do we need first. And what is our priority? What is going to, augment the standard of living of our people? So this strategic plan is systematically done in order to empower the people from the grassroots level. So each ward will be, you have the power to decide what they actually want for the benefits of their people.
Maybe I want to bring you back into this particular discussion deeply now, and this is as it has to do with the rise in the civil servants allowances and welfare. And earlier on, you said something about the government of the nation taking out subsidy and then keeping it for the people, for the use by the people. And here we are only seeing a fraction of it being added to civil servants, and it takes me to the question of who or those who are actually not civil servants and how they benefit from this initiative.
That is actually what I've just said. I said 1,000 people from each of the electoral wards. I didn't say civil servants. I didn't say civil servants. I said 1,000 people from each of the 8,809 electoral wards in the country will be empowered. And I even mentioned the amount of money that is even being earmarked to empower these people with, which is 330 billion naira for now.
For now.
Yeah.
Ambassador, it's time to go for a short break. We still have so many important questions. A lot of Nigerians are asking, why now? And then again, with Nigeria's fiscal realities, we're seeing debt profile increasing, subsidy removal aftermath, inflation as well. Will this lead us to pressures on our economy or more borrowing, which is what Nigerians are waking up to and asking ourselves? Are we going to be known as a debt country after Tinubu's administration? So much more to unpack. We'll be back after this short break. This is Razeb Africa.
Welcome to Razeb Africa, the heartbeat of the continent in one show. Here, we celebrate Africa not as a headline, but as a home full of ideas, courage, flavor, and future. This is where we talk about everything Africa. The politics that shape our nations, the innovations that shift our economies, the culture that colors our lives, the challenges we face with honesty, and the victories we are building one story at a time. On this show, no topic is swept aside. We are unfiltered and we are intentional. We bring you experts from across the continent and the world. Voices that know, voices that live the African experience, voices that are shaping the next chapter of our story. Let your spirit rise. We don't just tell Africa's story, we own it. Join Joy Asonye on Razep Africa, Monday to Friday at 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Global Television.
Welcome back. This is Razep Africa, where we've been discussing important issues, especially as the president announced that increment for civil servants. As I said earlier, it was received with mixed feelings. Why now? Ambassador Muhammad Musa Sokan is in the studio with us. I guess I should start the conversation with that. Why now? Is it a political move, or it is something that he had planned on? Is this something, are we expecting more good news before 2027? Is it election focused?
It's not issue of election focus. We said it, and I will repeat it. Development is a process, and hence it is a process. It actually means it have to go piecemeal. It's not something that it's just like a building. You start from the foundation, and to the lintel level. You finish your building. Put in the structures in order before you move into the building. So it's a kind of it's in stages. So this is something that has been planned from day one. His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a leader that have acumen. Is very strategic in employing some systemic plans, and these plans is not going to all be executed in a day, and that is why we have the medium-term economic development planning, which is targeting between 2026 and 2030. Nigeria is anticipating a $1 trillion economy. So these are things that have been put in place, and it will move gradually until we reach the target, which is to bring Nigeria up in the standard of rating of our economy of the world.
Okay, so Ambassador, I think we also want to understand when this is actually done, and this is of course for the federal government workers. So let's look at it where it will affect the private sector. Let's look at it as how it will also affect the state government workers. So this increment has actually been done, and the increment is for the federal government workers, federal government civil servants. Okay, so is there a ripple effect that this will actually bring to the state governments and of course to the private sector? We also, just like John asked earlier, why now? Are we also looking at state government also joining the president to do some sort of increments, because of course it is about the season?
Exactly, because that's something I often, before you answer that, I know the president, in spite of what it's often said that there's so much powers that he possessed, with the triple increments in allocation to state government, we didn't see a reflective development. Maybe in some states you see laudable achievements here and there, but what can the president do to pound down this very important thing to states as well?
You see, His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is very strategic and systemic in trying to implement some of his policies. We have just started talking about the federal government civil servants now. I'm assuring you that it will go down to the state level, and board level is not also put aside in the development architecture of this government. So I'm assuring you that by His grace, some of these opportunities that is being enjoyed by the federal government civil servants is going to go down well from to the state, local government, and even world level. So Nigeria should expect more, even more than what we are seeing now in the not distant time. It's a systemic and strategic plan that have been put in place by Mr. President. And the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, His Excellency Senator Atiku Abubakar Bagudu, alongside the state, the Minister of State for Budget and Economic Planning, Dr. Doris Ozoka, have been using their acumen, their experiences to ensure that all that have been put in place to strengthen the economy of this country come to pass. And we shall surely have it in not distant time.
Okay, so let's talk about your support group, the APC Initiative for Good Governance. So how are you positioning towards 2027? I already know, and for everyone who's listening already knows, that you have unfettered support for the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But with all the dissenting voices, with opposition coalition talks and alignment here and there, how are you positioning to push this forward at this very almost dicey, I could say dicey period?
You see, APC Initiative for Good Governance is embedded with technocrats, professors and professionals, religious, group, youth leaders, and what have you. And some of these professors are renowned professors. Like the chairman of, we have a sector of the APC Initiative for Good Governance, which is professors running sector. So, and the chairman of that sector or wing of the APC Initiative for Good Governance is Professor Michael Ekopolati. And the secretary is Professor Familoni, a renowned professor of economics. He stays in USA,
right?
But he is now in Nigeria, and all he's doing is in order to bring all his experience as a professor of economy for over 40 years. So we have so many of them, professors and even consultant surgeon in the medical line. We have senior advocates of Nigeria. All these people, we have come up with a particular book titled Pathway to Economic and Social Development in Nigeria, a guide to APC government.
Wow.
So we are doing a lot. We are strategizing as a think tank, operating in a module to contribute positively to the development of this country called Nigeria. So beside that, we also have another wing of the support group, which is a New Hope Support Initiative 2027. All these are people that have experience in various fields, and they are ready to contribute immensely to the development of this country. We are working tirelessly, and we don't have to wait. You don't have to be in the helms of affairs of the governance to contribute. I believe by the time we're given the opportunity to contribute our quota, we have substantial people on ground that are very ever ready to contribute to the development of this country.
Absolutely. However, you've mentioned something very important, the pathway to economic development for the APC administration. You are just but a support group. What influence do you have to enact the pathway? You said it was well packaged by professionals and technocrats. But again, you're just a support group. So what influence do you have to ensure the president approves of this pathway and we see the ripple effect in ministries and sectors?
You see, the workaholic, secretary to the government of the Federation, His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, CON. Have been trying a lot. We have been working, side by side with him. He's our strength as far as this Renew Hope agenda is concerned. We are working hand in hand with him, and we are trying to ensure that all this mechanism is put in place. And it's a systemic and strategic plan that we have at hand. We have professors of economics and social sciences, these people, it's not about what they need to earn, but what they have to bring on board for the development of the country. So we have the full support of His Excellency Senator Dr. George Akume, who is the coordinator and the engine room of this government, and he has been trying all he could to see that effective and positive changes reflect in the life of the citizens.
Okay, so I want to take you back to the initiative, APC Initiative for Good Governance.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Okay, so take off your cap. I'm not talking about your physical cap here, but the cap of the APC. Okay, let's take that cap off and now look at the word good governance. Now, the taking of your cap is you assuming the place of just a mayor or a normal Nigerian.
Yeah.
Would you say that the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu government has actually given to Nigerians good governance?
You have to peruse the infrastructural development, the education sector, the agricultural sector, the health sector, and others, and peruse by yourself and see. We have this NEL fund, Nigeria Education Loan, fund, and this is basically a structure that is, lay on ground to ensure that people are educated and they have it smoothly. You see, if you are not, education is a bedrock of every development in every nation. Without education, people will perish. But if people are educated, it's one of the strong, architecture of development in every nation. And there's focus on that. The focus is to ensure that people have it, in a simplified way to, better their education. And several other, developmental architecture that is put in place by Mr. President to ensure that the economy of the country is being strengthened. So it's not all about the APC, it's all about the country. And that is why I'm calling on all those that are vying for president.
Okay.
They should focus on the development of the country. We shouldn't be talking about politicking.
Absolutely.
We're
bringing. We keep recording that year in, year out. All we do is attack on the individual, attack on the person's religion, attack on what this person stands for, and not really question this person's motives, the person's antecedents. And that brings me to the next question that I want to ask, which is, what do we do differently? Because if we were using technology before, it's worse now. We're seeing the rise in AI. If we had learned manipulation in 2023, it is absolutely worse now. So how can we ensure that we have a more educated electorate so that these reforms that we keep celebrating will still reflect in the next administration? An electorate that know and have participated in governance, knowing exactly what a certain individual stands for, what his precedents are. If you're voting back on the Bola Tinubu administration, you know where his strengths are, you know where his weaknesses are, and you make informed choices. How can we get there?
That's why I'm saying that we should focus on the unity and progress of this country. We should put aside our differences, whether of the religion, of the region, or of ethnicity. We should just put those aside, concentrate on what is going to consolidate this country and strengthen the economy of this country. I think that should be our first priority. We should prioritize the development of the nation above the issue of sentiments. Put politics aside. I don't, like a situation whereby people have, look at the political space as a battleground of accusation, false accusation, and trying to belittle even where the government is very proactive and active. So we should look at what are we going to galvanize in order to uplift the standard of living and the economy of this country. That should be our first priority.
And who should champion this?
Mr. President has done it, and he is on it. Even if you reflect on the electoral convention of the APC, he reiterated that we should prioritize the unity and progress of this country above the issue of political party and otherwise. So we should focus on bringing on board what is going to strengthen the development of this country, which I think everybody should have it at the back of his mind, that this is Nigerian project, and the unity and progress of this country should be prioritized above all other interests. And I think that is the measure that we have to undertake.
All right, so Ambassador, I really appreciate the way you're actually expounding on issues this morning, and still on the issue of good governance and of course the APC, not leaving out both of them because of course they work hand in hand. There is APC initiative for good governance. Let's talk about the aspect of security in our country this morning. And I know as one person so engrossed with what the president is doing, you probably have your own take on the security stance of our country at the moment. So maybe I will leave that up to you to just tell us, what do you think about the security status of our country, Nigeria, today?
Yes.
Under the APC government.
That is my area of even priority, because I study in my master's degree human security and counter-terrorism. And one of the integral aspects of combating security challenges in the country is to empower the people. It's not about taking, guns and, missiles to the war for killing the citizenry. That is not the first priority. But empower people. And that takes us to the project of the Renew Hope World Development Program. By empowering 1,000 people in each, let me repeat, each of the 8,809, wards. So by doing that is combating the insecurity challenges indirectly or even directly. By the time you are able to empower these people in the grassroots level, you are killing the insecurity where that is bedeviling the country. So that is a major step taken by Mr. President in order to ameliorate and combat insecurity in the country.
So until we now get into that particular aspect of, how did you put it, the 1,000 people per ward, until we get to that initiative, what should we do with our security situation in the country today? Because we've not gotten there. And as you speak, it is still probably on paper. It is not real.
You see, security is everybody's business. Security is not all about government, and government are put in place. And you see, one of the strategic measures is the involvement of the local people into the security architecture of the country. That is talking about community policing. Because at a community level, people should be empowered, and they should be trained in such a way that they should be able to combat their security challenges within their own local environs. So these are some of the measures that I think should be taken in order to combat the insecurity.
Okay. I mean, you're still talking about insecurity, and it's a very important subject matter for a lot of Nigerians. We had hoped that when this administration comes and he did something very bold, where he changed the service chiefs, we're hoping we would record more. But at this time, I've heard you giving us what you think of this administration's efforts towards security at this time? How do you tell a Nigerian who's afraid to drive from Abuja to Kaduna, from Abuja to Lokoja? There are obvious security flashpoints that haven't been addressed. The international community views Nigerians leadership as one that is helping a genocide against Christians. These are issues that haven't really been addressed. We're still recording these pockets of instances in Kwara State, in Plateau State, in Benue State. It's not rocket science. You know there are flashpoints. I know there are flashpoints. We're not seeing reinforcement to curb these security issues in this state. What would you advise government? Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time. So as we wrap up, what would your last thoughts be on this issue? What would you advise government ahead of elections, which often makes the country even more volatile? How do we address this issue like yesterday?
We should engage the local community seriously. We should engage the local community, train them and empower them with security mechanisms that will make them to combat the immediate security challenges. Not waiting for other normal security that like the military, the police, and what have you. The people in the community should be trained and equipped with equipment that is aligned to fighting insecurity within their local community. I think if that is done, it will go a long way to curtail some of the security challenges we are facing in the country.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm very glad that you actually came, and maybe let me leave you with this one, and you just give us your thoughts on it. The issue of state policing. What do you think?
It's very credible, very, very credible, because nobody is going to deal with the terrain more than the people living within that vicinity. They know their terrain, they know the loopholes, and they know the in and out of how to combat the challenges of insecurity within their own, environs. So local community policing is very, very integral, and is going to promote security, architecture of the country. And if that is done, we are going to have it right in terms of the security challenges that is bedeviling some parts of this country.
Okay, thank you so much for your contributions to this topic this morning, and well done for the work that you do. I really hope that pathway you mentioned, our economic pathway for the administration, would be adopted, and we see a measurable improvement in our economy. But this is where we end today's edition of RAZEP Africa. Thank you once again. We've been having this conversation with Ambassador Musa Mohammed Token. He is the President, APC Initiative for Good Governance, and he's a security expert as well, and so much more. But unfortunately, we can't have time to discuss all that about him. I am Joy Asanye saying thank you for watching today's edition. Rest assured, we'll be back next time with so much more.
And I am Uime and Netia. Do have a very wonderful time, and till tomorrow.